You do know that we've been talking about the forgotten constituency, the Santro Kofi Akpafu Likpe Lolobi. Yes, we've been talking about it on the eve of December 7, when Ghana was going to the polls in 2020. The Electoral Commission told them they cannot vote to get an MP. So as we speak, they don't have an MP. Roland Walker has been crisscrossing that constituency. He's put together a documentary that we'll show you tomorrow. But take a look at this teaser.
Exciting moment when their aspirations were met as a new region and districts were created.
That kind of lopsided development, I think I was never happy about.
But the eve of the 2020 elections saw inhabitants unable to vote for a representative in parliament.
Nobody is talking for us. Nobody is representing us. What have we done?
15 months on, the people of Santro Kofi, Akpafu, and Likpe have virtually been cut off from governance without a representation in parliament.
We cannot have the MP Common Fund, which is part of developmental projects.
In TV3's latest feature, Sall, the forgotten constituency.
Even sometimes fetching drinking water from streams or river bodies like this.
Roland Walker finds out from residents, advocates, and opinion leaders the state of their livelihoods and development, and if the expectations have been met.
You
know, development is a process, no one day on that. So we'll be doing it more.
Sall, the forgotten constituency, premieres this Wednesday, 16th March at 9 p.m. on TV3 Ghana across all social media platforms and 3news.com.
And so that's it. Expect it tomorrow in the evening. But the man who held the cameras and the microphone with his team, led the team to get into this forgotten constituency, is here. Roland Walker. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good, my friend.
Sharp as always.
Yeah. What can we do?
What can you do?
Yeah.
Indeed. How was it traveling in the forgotten constituency and the stories that came to you? How was it?
I have to say that it was very shocking and also very disappointing, knowing that 15 months on after a promise had long been made. And we have to put this into perspective because the two main political parties of our country, the NPP and NDC, that were vying for power back in 2020 or the electioneering of 2020, had both promised that they will create new regions. And so when the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government won again to lead the nation for the next 4 years after 2020, they then said, well, for all the things that needed to be done, that region that has been created before the election would be developed with a certain commitment, either financially, that would also trickle in for infrastructure, and also into the livelihoods of the people, the inhabitants of Santro Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi. You go into that area, that's supposed to be a constituency, or ideally should have been a constituency by Article 47 of our Constitution.
That's right.
And you are grossly disappointed 15 months on about the leadership of our country who took the decision to promise the people that they are going to be independent and have a constituency or a region and subsequent districts and not put in the needed resources for infrastructure. And we're talking basic infrastructure. What is even more worrying is that existing infrastructure before the creation of either the region or the district have been left to deteriorate. And it's not for me. I spoke to people on the ground and they will tell me that for the last 4 to 5 years, certain edifices or maybe hospitals, etc., had been left to ruins. Hitherto was not the situation. Look, we do understand that people want to live either because they have a certain coherent or communal culture, values, or ethics, and so would want to be put together. But that has to be done in a certain perspective that inures to the development of the people. And so far, it is very disappointing.
Interesting. I know that I also was in that constituency. I saw the Likpe Hospital. When you went there, has anything changed?
Nothing has changed at all. And I tell you, that hospital that I saw was, if you look at the type of architecture that was behind the erection or the construction of that hospital, I think is better than the Adabraka Hospital, even for the General Hospital, even in Tema. And so it baffles the mind of the ordinary person why we will decide to just leave a certain facility such as that into ruins. The ceilings are all off. And this was after you had gone to do a comprehensive expose based on your own personal or private visit that you had undertaken. And if you speak to the people who live close by, you will find that apparently it was a hospital which apparently also has now been downgraded into a chip compound that served several communities beyond the borders of not only Lipe, Central Kofi or Lologbi, but even the borders of Ghana, because you know those areas are closer to Togo. Border, and because we have very thin borders in Africa, you'll find that people will crisscross and come to hospital either in Ghana. They speak same language, so you would not easily identify unless you decide that you would want to inspect their Ghana card or inspect their nationality or a certain document or not. And it's very worrying that we decide that certain parts of the country should not be given equitable resources or proper distribution of resources as we have it.
In terms of education, let's focus on that because we're big on it. This government has said that we've had Vision 2020 created in 1995, a central portion of it, education, growth and poverty reduction strategy 1 and 2, education is there, SDG Go 4, education, all the big talk about education. What reflection did you get in the forgotten constituency?
A very bad reflection. You know, within the constituency, they have what they call Smart School. And I went to Bishop Herman. Bishop Herman is in Pando in the Volta region. So it's one of the best schools, so to speak, in the Volta region. So we always pride ourselves. But we always have our brothers in Smart School, Awu School, and the rest. And you find that those in St. Mary's Seminary School in Lolobi are now having teachers who apparently are posted from the Ghana Education Service into those areas, decided not to go for the posting. I spoke to a former assembly member who lamented that nurses, teachers, and other public servants who are posted from Accra or elsewhere from other parts of the country into the area are resisting posting to the area just because basic amenities are not available. They cannot find good places of convenience, places of accommodation for their families that either they'll bring along or decide to leave behind.
Okay, hold on. So this is the EP school in the Lipe area, and this actually was constructed by Plan Ghana. And what you see, that's their washroom. So they don't have a washroom presently, and they use the bush. They do aluguza. They use the bush, open defecation. And because the teachers thought it wise that the structure isn't strong, it's collapsing, they are scared that the children could fall in there. So they decided that, well, let's hold them on. And Daniel Oklu shot this, all went for the recce. There's too much to tell in that constituency.
There's too much to tell. We're talking about a constituency that has close by one of the best waterfalls, if not in West Africa, but in Ghana. We're talking about the Huli waterfalls. They have a nice topography, just like you find in the Kwewu Range or the Kwapim Hills, and great areas for tourist destination and reveling or relaxation for a weekend, for which, if let's say, if we're white people or maybe right-thinking Arabs, like the way the United Arab Emirates have done and transformed their country, where we go for holidays, would have transformed that part of the country. Look, we've had people like Dr. Obeda Samoa, who is the longest serving Attorney General and Minister of Justice and also Foreign Affairs, who comes from Lipe. And he was concerned that for decades when they had fought for a region and also for a district, a constituency had not been created. Look, we shouldn't kid ourselves. The district assemblies or the municipal or metropolitan assemblies, even though they're supposed to be in charge of development, the main charge of responsibility that citizens tend to exert from duty bearers are always from the members of parliament. And that is what we've decided to create with our 1992 constitution. So if you don't have a member of parliament coming to a funeral near you, to a church service, or to your event, or visiting you in your community, the assumption for the local people is that very much detached from national development,
Right.
and it baffles the mind
But
that somebody will be in central government and think that it's okay not to have a member of parliament, and the absence of a member of parliament should not be a worry to an ordinary inhabitant or resident of Likpe or Central Kofi or Akpafu or Lolobi.
Interesting. Now, on the 8th of October, that's the Likpe Bakwa Hospital, by the way. These are shots that I took myself on a private visit to the place. The whole place is in a complete mess. Now, on the 8th, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, because we featured this comprehensively. It's because of the state of the facility. If you look at the architectural plan, you find that it is akin to the ones that were built by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah in the First Republic,
Right.
across the Republic.
Kaneshi Polyclinic.
Exactly. So you keep wondering, why is it that we have facilities like this in Accra that have even seen extensions, and we have a same or even a better one that is in a community that is just about a kilometer from Hokwe, which used to be the municipal or district capital, and it hasn't been developed. It's been left to ruins. We spoke about this. There's been a piece of camera we did on this. And as usual for all the services that we have, whether for education, for health, the officials who have been put in charge are afraid to talk. It is sickening to find that they have bungalows that so far have been left
This
into
is one
rooms.
of those.
Exactly.
This is one of those.
And the place is not manned by a qualified medical doctor.
No.
So a senior nursing person will have to be the one who is in charge. Of course, we know that we have.
Nurse.
Yeah, he has about 7 to 11 years experience in the nursing profession. So
But,
now he
hold
takes
on.
that.
So this is the sluice room. This is where ordinarily we'll go and pick your beddings. You want a bed sheet or whatever it is. This is what it looks like.
Yeah, very bad. They even share the counseling services for sexual reproductive health, as well as even for maternity and HIV, etc. In the same room. So where you go to the Legon Hospital or the Kaneshi, or you go to the one that's close by Mamobi or elsewhere, where you have some level of privacy. For example, if I go and do my HIV test, I'm going to do, that should be a confidential information I should have with my medical practitioner.
Right.
But they have no choice but to share with all these sort of people and patients. And in places, if you know how communities develop and wets go around, somebody's health status is divulged to somebody who lives close by you in a certain community.
Exactly.
You can imagine the spread of rumor and how that could also have implication on your confidence, your psyche, etc.
And that's why,
it's so bad.
The information we got on the ground is that people no longer want to go to that polyclinic. They'd rather come to Hohoi and come to the government hospital there because of some of these things you're talking about, and also because of the availability of the facilities. But on the 8th of October 2021, it was a Friday, we launched the Guan, what do you call it? The district assembly.
With all pomp and pageantry.
Exactly. New building, the Boche was there, he was he's a minister for local governance and rural development. Joshua Makubu, who used to come here frequently, we used to talk about persons living with disability and all of those issues. He is regional minister, and then there were some other interesting persons there as well. Do you get the sense on the ground that the people are disappointed?
They are sorely disappointed. And the reason why I say so is that when we were deciding to have a certain focus for the documentary, we wanted to have a documentary that focuses on the people who live in the communities and not go and speak to duty bearers like the minister who was heading the creation of the region and somebody who is in charge of the region and even the so-called district, because you know that 11 days after that inauguration and there was a nomination, swearing in and inauguration, the gentleman died, Malone died, so he was buried. He was buried the weekend, the very weekend that I left. They will give you sweet talk. we've been doing this work for how many? You've been doing it for over 15 years. I've been doing it for over 22 years.
Yeah,
22 years. So I know that when I go to Mr. Damboche, he'll give me sweet talk.
Right.
And when I go to Joshua Makubo, actually, there's a place called Lolonyo Choba. Before we were leaving, that's where we ate.
Okay.
So I was eating my banku or akple with my nice food. I had my chilled drink around. And he came around. But, you know, and I'm told that the feedback is, why is it that we came to the region and not speak to the government people? But I think that I have to say it here and now, that the focus of the documentary is to speak to the people. Now, if you speak to those who spearheaded the creation of the region, the creation of the various districts, and also advocated for the creation of the constituency subsequent to the creation of the region, you would see that they are grossly disappointed. They are disappointed that apparently they were given a certain promise that you have a constituency.
Right.
Now, on the eve of the election,
They don't have a
for
constituency.
parliamentary elections, you are not in a position to elect a representative. It could be Roland, it could be Johnny, it could be somebody else, to be in parliament advocating for you. Let's say we have the member of parliament for Adenta Ramadan, advocating for good roads in his constituency, for Adentan constituency. But you have nobody who will get up, whether he's a backbencher or not, on the minority or majority side,
on your behalf.
to speak on behalf of the people of the Guan constituency. Luckily, I was just around, bending the curve around just Likpe Bakwa. Then I saw John Dumelo. John Dumelo apparently has been farming and going to the constituency the last year, farming in ginger and some other derivatives. And was also very much disappointed because, you know, his parents come from the place. His parents grew up in Hohwe. They visit there regularly. And he even has to dole out sometimes money. And he did that even in my presence. I'm told that he did a donation subsequent to your expose. And we spoke to him about how he thinks that his kinsmen have been left behind and what needs to be done. I think that development needs to be equitable. If you go to Europe, the rest of the ASEANs or the Southeast Asian countries, India, you go to China and some of the top Asian countries and their model of development, they followed the US and the European blueprint. So it surprises me that we have ministers, we have big men so-called, who have gone to Cambridge, Harvard, Oxford, Columbia,
Leeds,
and they pride that on social media, and when they are even being vetted in parliament, that they went to those schools and can't do the same things that their colleagues that they claim that they were better off or even better than when they were in school in relation to development of their African countries. And it's a situation I think that we need to change. The narrative needs to change. Somebody needs to change the narrative. For me, I think that after all these years of doing this job, when somebody calls me and says I don't have water, I say, look, get the hell out of my phone, because there's no government person or politician that I'll speak to that can solve your problem. Because I haven't seen the commitment over the last 20 years from the politicians that we have elected into office who have decided to solve the problems of the people.
Speaking of water, I saw you seated at the stream.
They're dying.
And then you were talking to some people. What was the point of that conversation?
The Dine is a very long stretch of river. It has tributaries, and so you find that we have North Dine, South Dine. Apparently, I got to know that it's the name of a river. So you have the tributaries that also pass through Lolobi. Okay. Now we have these hand-pumped or sometimes mechanized boreholes that are in the communities. Many of them are redundant. They are defunct. They are not working in most of the communities that are visited. Now, for areas where you have to fetch water, you have to pay. But there's this very woman that I spoke to who was washing, not the young lady.
Okay, an older woman.
And sometimes, even to make ends meet in such communities, it's a problem. So you have to pay for the water. If you don't have the water...
Okay, that's it, I think.
If you don't have the water, it's because you don't have the money. So if you don't have the money, you have no option than to come to a river body like the Dine. Now, they will choose a place where they will wash. So that will be downstream. And then after they finish washing and they feel that their clothes have either been well squeezed or rainstorm as we speak, then they'll choose a certain section of the stream or river or the tributary which they think is cleaner enough. Of course, the good thing is that we don't have galamsey ongoing there, so the water body is not polluted. Right. It's very clean. Then they'll go and fetch that water, either to boil or not boil, and go and drink at home just because they don't have money. You know, sometimes you look at some of these things and you get you get so consoled in yourself and think that when will this ever stop? Because we ushered in the Fourth Republic in 1992, had the first government sworn into office on the 7th of January 1993. I remember post-2000, right. I saw the last days of Rawlings. I saw the election of 2000. I saw the swearing in, and then myself, I covered the vetting of the new ministers in the Kufuor administration. Right. Many of them had lived in the diaspora. Kunedu Apreku, who is a very good godfather of Richie mine. Danani, yeah, I even saw Osafo Mafu. They spoke big words because, you know, they've lived in the United States. They've lived in the United States. They've lived in the UK. They talk about trains, how they're going to have all this. So, as a young man who was just about 21 or 22 there,
energized.
Yes, because I think if you give me a visa to the US, for which I've denied many of those opportunities the last 20 years or so, I said, well, Ghana will be a paradise. And 22 years on, Ghana has not been a paradise.
Interesting. So, well, we will move our train, pack our bags and baggage, go to the Forgotten Constituency.
Yeah. It's on Wednesday, though. They should watch that.
Yeah,
and
so
then
we will show you the full documentary at 9:30 p.m.
No, it's 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Wednesday evening. That's tomorrow evening. Tomorrow I'll bring you some more meat on this one.
You call it meat, eh?
Yes, it's meat. We'll show
Johnny's
you
Bite.
From 9 to 9:30. And then on Friday, we will be present at Likpe.
You're going live?
Yes, we like to go on the ground, like we did in Keta, like we've done in other places. We like to go there on the ground. We have extended invitations to the assembly. We've extended invitation to my good friend, Mr. Joshua Makubu. And Joshua Makubu is no stranger to TV3 because before he was made a Minister of State and before his vetting, before his nomination, Mr. Joshua Makubu had been very, very present in our studios. In fact, this was perhaps the first place that he got an opportunity to be on national television, talking about the issues of persons living with disability, 3% disassembly common fund allocation, talking about education, exclusion, and all of that. We had done a lot of Star Ghana events with him, with Mr. Deborah of the Ghana Federation for Persons Living with Disability. I've gone to Teshi with him, Nungwa. We've gone to Tema, name the places, Kanishi, all over the place. And I moderated all of those things. So he's no stranger to TV3 at all. And we are looking forward to see him here. We don't believe that what the people are saying on the ground, that since he became minister, and what Roland is saying, I don't want to believe that. You know, he met Roland in an eatery, a chop bar. He's eating his.
No, he didn't talk to me. I didn't talk to him as well.
He didn't talk. Well, I don't want to believe it, and I don't want to believe that. You know, maybe the power is taking over the Joshua Makubu that I know. So I want to see him there. I want to see the district director of health there. We have extended invitations to them. The district commander as well. We have extended because we want to have a holistic conversation about the economy, about health, about education, about security, everything. Divisional police. We have invited everybody, like we do anywhere we go. We invite everybody. So if you don't see them on Friday, it means that they declined to attend. Because even in situations where they cannot attend, like we did the donation at Angloga, when the regional minister couldn't attend, he sent the DCE for Afajato South, Mr. Flolu, to represent him. So we're looking forward to a representation. It doesn't necessarily have to be the minister. It could be a deputy minister. It could be whoever it is. But it would be better if we get the minister, we get the DCE or the MCD, because there's no DCE in as we speak, and all of that. It would be nice to have them. And I want us to have a very firm and frank conversation about the forgotten constituency. People can play their politics. For you and I, it is about how the people are being scratched where they itch. It's about not getting people to drink water from a river and not have the attendant, you know, health health, what you call it, problems. It is about people getting quality health care. It's about children not sitting in classrooms with ceilings spilling off or sitting in mud rooms they call classrooms. It's about, because in those mud rooms that have no windows, the teachers have an extra duty of weather forecasting. As soon as the clouds gather, the teachers become weather forecasters. Should we close? Should we not close? I want all of that to end. And I think that if we set our priorities right, we'll get it done. I don't know, but your closing thoughts, Roland.
Well, my closing thoughts are very simple. I want all citizens of the area, Central Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi, to watch this documentary and have a certain total mindset about how they want the development pattern of their areas to go 10, 20 years down the lane. It is very important. And then also, I want both sides of the advocacy groups, whether they wanted to be part of the OT region, wanted a new district or not, to know that it can only take the unity of the people of any area to spearhead development.
Right.
And that is why this, as a precursor to that discussion you're going to have in the area on Friday, needs to be watched by all citizens of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi, because you would then come closer to the issues that tend to confront you when your constituency is finally created. Because from the conversations that we had, I, even though I'm not a lawyer, don't see the reason why the Electoral Commission, with that Article 47 subsequent to that, cannot create a constituency, whether it's a month, 5 months, or even a year, for the current parliament. We're talking about the 8th parliament, because the inhabitants of those 4 areas that ideally will form a constituency never voted in any election to elect a parliamentary candidate.
That's right.
Or representative in any other constituency.
But you see, interesting thing is that the Electoral Commission, by its own dictate, CI, whatever it is, in trying to demarcate which area becomes a district or a constituency, registers you by your electoral area and by your district and by your region, which is why it's easy for them to be able to trace and say you are from region A and you have tried to vote in region B, or you are from district A and you have tried to vote in district B. The Electoral Commission knows that. So the polling code for Greater Accra starts with the letter C. So it presupposes that those in Western region are A, Central is B, Greater Accra is C, Volta is D, in that order. If you registered people, per their district, per their polling station, per their electoral area, how is it then difficult for you to be able to put them? And you have to wait until the eve of the election to announce to them that you can vote for a president, but the person who will be responsible for you, who will have to be an ex-official member of the assembly of which you pay your property rate, your business operation permit, and all those, cannot be there. In any case, Article 93, Act 936 says that the member of parliament is an ex-official member of the assembly. So now we are counting on, was it Kofi Adams, who is closest, right?
Yes.
So does Kofi Adams go to sit with the Boem District Assembly, or does he come to sit with the Guan District Assembly? Pure confusion. And Jean Mensah is a lawyer. And Jean Mensah worked at the IEA. And Jean Mensah was the person who was screaming from the sidelines with Bosman Asari that these are the reforms we need. 2012. Now you have been put on the field to play. What are you playing? Bele?
0-0 so far.
0-0. Anyway, so tonight, tomorrow evening, we'll show you the documentary.
It's 9 p.m.
9 to 9:30 p.m. And then we will have the live outside broadcast like we did from the Nkrumah Mausoleum and everywhere else at the Likpe Mate area. That's the district headquarters. We will have that there. We entreat all of you to come and ventilate your issues. We'll give you a chance to also speak up and be part of active society. But Ghanaman capsules for energy and vitality enhances your libido and good blood circulation. All you have to do is to take 1 or 2 capsules daily. Ghanaman, man up.